In the world of Baki, where powerful martial artists rely solely on their bare hands to fight, this doesn't make them any weaker. They can shatter concrete floors or even asphalt with their bare fists and slice eggs effortlessly. Although they haven't used weapons, the damage they inflict is on par with any weapon. The question arises, how terrifying would their strength be if they were to use weapons? In the Bakidou manga, there is a character who is a master of swordsmanship. A legendary Japanese swordsman, Musashi Miyamoto, the greatest swordsman. How does he appear? How formidable is his strength? What is his personality like? Welcome to the Ackerman Recap. Today, let's explore this legendary swordsman together. 1. The appearance and some historical background of Musashi. Musashi Miyamoto is a character who will appear in the upcoming installment of the Baki series. Musashi Miyamoto is a legend in the history of Japanese martial arts. He is regarded as one of the greatest swordsmen of all time. His life is closely tied to a tumultuous period in history, marked by the rise of various factions and constant warfare among local lords. Despite living in turbulent times, he remained true to the ideals of a wandering swordsman. With 2 swords in hand, he carved his path through every battle he encountered. He is a swordsman with the nickname Invincible Under the Heavens in Japanese samurai history. It was thought that he would rest in peace for eternity until he was resurrected by Tokugawa and became the main antagonist in the first part of the Bakidou series. Now, I will summarize how he came to be. After witnessing the intense battle between the father and son from the Hanma family, the powerful martial artists felt disheartened with everything. To prevent the disappointment of these martial artists, Mr. Tokugawa wanted to resurrect the greatest samurai. After obtaining Musashi's remains, Mr. Toku approached a paleontologist. He convinced him to come to Japan, and together they embarked on the journey to revive Musashi. Once they had the fossilized spinal column, the scientists began the process of reviving the legendary swordsman. From that single bone fragment, they successfully extracted Musashi's cells. This gestation process lasted only 11 months and 10 days. The normal human growth process goes from being an infant to a child, then a teenager, an adult, and finally aging. Although the gestation period was 2 months longer than usual, when Musashi's gestation process was complete in the specially prepared solution, he was 32 years and 6 months old. This was the age at which he had reached the pinnacle of his prowess. Musashi was born with all his organs functioning normally, from his heartbeat to his blood circulation. What was unusual, however, was that there was no brainwave activity, and he remained unconscious. Mr. Tokugawa believed that to create a complete human being, a soul was necessary. Therefore, he decided to invite his sister, Sabuko, who was a spiritual medium capable of communicating with the deceased, and even the living. While the scientists couldn't figure out how to awaken Musashi, she boldly declared that she would revive him within 5 minutes. The scientists didn't believe in the existence of souls, and they were skeptical of her claims. Sabuko demonstrated her abilities by summoning the spirit of one of the scientists' fathers. Make scientists admit it. She began murmuring something and suddenly stood up in a swordsman's posture, surprising the scientists. She approached and kissed Musashi's unconscious body, and to everyone's amazement, the brain activity of the great swordsman started functioning again. The soul of the legendary swordsman had returned, bringing with it his memories and skills from the past. Thus began Musashi's journey of destruction. 2. Appearance. Musashi's external appearance reflects the life of a wartime swordsman. His robust physique, covered in scars, is the result of relentless training and battles. These scars, often caused by swords, extend from his face to his feet, with a particular emphasis on his wrists, which are notably larger compared to fighters of similar size. His sharp, determined eyes resemble daggers. Musashi possesses long, wild black hair that falls to his shoulders, exuding a ruggedness similar to Yujiro Hanma's style. His attire is simple, primarily consisting of traditional kimono and straw sandals worn by martial artists. He greatly appreciates this clothing, a gift from Tokugawa. This reflects his philosophy of living a simple life, detached from material possessions. After some time, Tokugawa also gifts him a legendary pair of twin swords from the past, which Musashi wears across his waist. 3. Personality. Immediately after accepting the truth of his resurrection and hearing Tokugawa's desire to witness his battles, Musashi Miyamoto moved to live with Tokugawa for a period. With his reputation, he also received countless challenges from the strongest martial artists. Musashi Miyamoto is a highly confident individual when it comes to his swordsmanship skills, and he remains calm in the face of any opponent's attacks. Additionally, he is extremely straightforward, saying exactly what he means and not shying away from acknowledging the truth. In his martial arts showdown with Baki, Musashi calmly admitted that if it were a real battle, Baki would have killed him. He also noted that Baki's jab was very powerful, but it still wouldn't be enough in a true war. When Tokugawa asked him about his thoughts after his fight with Retsu Kaio, Musashi admitted that in the moment when he struck Retsu, he felt fear when Retsu caught his sword with his fist. Unlike any other martial artist, Musashi is solitary and spiritually detached from the rest of the world, even more so than Pickle himself. This is evident in Musashi's inability to adapt to the modern era. At least Pickle has some restraint, avoiding fights in crowded places and refraining from harming innocent individuals, only targeting those who pose a threat to him and consuming their flesh. However, Musashi is quite the opposite. The brutal warfare of the past has altered his perception of the world around him. He doesn't care if someone gets hurt and is ready to take action without feeling any empathy. He's willing to take down anyone who opposes him. Despite this, Musashi maintains his own sense of honor. He only kills those who intend to kill him. Similar to Yujiro, he doesn't unleash his full strength right away. Instead, he observes and identifies his opponent's weaknesses and devises a suitable strategy. Those who seek to test his strength rather than harm him, he teaches them a lesson as Baki did with Doppo. 4. Technique. Do you think that if a swordsman loses the physical sword in their hand, they would become weaker? That might be true for ordinary swordsmen, but for a legendary samurai it's different. Even without a physical sword in hand, he can imagine an invisible sword and strike with it. The wounds inflicted by this imaginary strike are no different from those of a real sword. The person on the receiving end of this strike will feel everything from the skin and flesh to the internal organs being cut. Although it doesn't physically exist on the body, the pain is excruciating. This technique is known as the imitation cut. The first time Musashi used this technique was against Sabu, the strongest swordsman in the current world. In a matter of seconds, the strongest swordsman was killed 7 times by Musashi. He used the imitation cut to strike Sabu a total of 7 times, and Sabu stated that it was impossible to evade. First it was the face, then the neck, followed by cutting through the entire body, then splitting the body vertically, and the 5th strike went horizontally across the body, the 6th cut diagonally through the entire body, and finally, the 7th cut horizontally across the chest. Sabu could distinctly feel each part being struck. When Musashi employs this technique, even Baki, one of the fastest martial artists, cannot evade it. The second technique that Musashi Miyamoto uses is the ultra-high-level Sen no Sen. It was first employed in combat against Baki Hanma. This is an incredibly potent self-defense technique because it can anticipate the opponent's movements. When the opponent is still processing their thoughts, Musashi already knows their intention and counters, making it impossible for the opponent to evade. Even someone with extremely strong reflexes like Baki encountered a lot of difficulties with this technique. The next technique of this legendary samurai is the binding technique. He used it during his battle with Kaio Retsu. When Retsu leaped into the air, Musashi swiftly bound Retsu so fast that he couldn't react in time. The 4th technique is called Shinken Shirahadori. Musashi first used it in his underground arena fight with Baki. It's a technique that uses bare hands to intercept the opponent's sword blade. This technique is extremely difficult to execute, requiring exceptional precision and reflexes. Without them, it could result in a life-threatening injury. 5. Strength. Musashi Miyamoto is a master swordsman who created the Niten Ichiryu style, also known as the two-sword style. At the age of 17, Musashi was able to single-handedly take on and defeat the forces of a region. Through a combination of innate talent and rigorous training, coupled with his skill in using swords to defeat enemies, Musashi's physical strength is currently immense. He can easily lift someone like Baki, who weighs approximately 76 kilo, as if they were a sword. Even Retsu, who weighs around 100 kilo, can be effortlessly lifted by him into the air. The strongest creature on Earth, Yujiro, is no exception. Musashi was able to throw Yujiro behind him when Yujiro attempted to grasp his sword blade. Sabu's sword had been used for 60 years, and he considered it a family heirloom. Typically, the longer a sword is used, the more durable it becomes. However, Musashi easily broke it. Any sword that doesn't meet his standards is shattered by him with a single strike. It's not just swords, even powerful weapons like kun-kun were easily destroyed by him. He wields 2 pairs of kun-kun as if they were a pair of swords and swung hard to break it. Witnessing the strength of the man standing in the arena, Master Kaku couldn't help but be astonished. His body trembled and he broke into a sweat. When he was young, Master Kaku swung those kun-kun to the point of skinning his own hands. However, he never managed to break them like Musashi did. Furthermore, Musashi can cut through 8 bodies and 6 pairs of hands simultaneously. Musashi can cut a falling leaf into 4 pieces, and even light objects like feathers are no exception. With a sword in his hand, he can easily slice through the hardest materials, including things that are notoriously difficult to break, like bulletproof shields and police body armor. Pickle's body is renowned for being incredibly robust, but Musashi managed to wound him, causing him to flee due to excessive blood loss. Not only does Musashi possess formidable offensive abilities, but his endurance is also incredibly strong. For instance, in his battle with the most powerful creature on Earth, Yujiro, after taking a powerful kick to one of the most vulnerable areas of a man's body, he still stood and continued to fight normally. Similarly, in his fight with Retsu, he had teeth and claws thrown at his face, and even a tooth hit his eye, but he didn't even blink. Furthermore, Musashi is one of the fastest reflexive individuals in the Baki series. He can evade kicks from the fastest martial artists like Baki. Moreover, Musashi can use the skill of catching flies with chopsticks. Truly remarkable reflexes. In summary, Musashi is one of the greatest swordsmen in Japanese history and one of the strongest characters in the Baki series. He is supremely confident in his strength, but in some way, Musashi still has some weaknesses compared to Yujiro. When Yujiro unleashes the demon face, everything changes. Musashi was consistently surprised during his battle with Yujiro. However, the individual who can force the ogre to use the demon face early is undoubtedly not to be underestimated. Even Baki and Doppo took a considerable amount of time to make Yujiro resort to using the demon back. In this video, I've summarized everything about Musashi Miyamoto, and if there are any inaccuracies, please feel free to comment below. My next videos will feature Musashi's battles with characters in the Bakidou manga, so stay tuned. What do you think of Musashi's strength? Please subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the exciting upcoming videos. Goodbye and see you in the next videos, everyone. The video has come to an end. Please leave your comments in the comments section, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay updated with the latest videos from me. For now, goodbye and see you again, everyone.